Okay, so you decided that you're going to go ahead and start a business, or maybe you already have a business going, you started making some money, and you're like, do I need to incorporate? Well, it's a good question. Incorporating a business is a smart way to reduce your individual liability, right? Because you get to create a separate business entity. There's three types: S-corp, C-corp, LLC. Each one of these options has its own benefits and drawbacks, and once you've decided on the structure that most benefits your organization, you're still going to have to decide where to incorporate. Incorporation laws are state level legislation, which means that each state can make its own laws about the requirements, the fees, your tax responsibilities for the businesses incorporated within that state. Your experience is going to vary depending on the state you choose. Now, you don't have to incorporate your business in the state you live or work in, right? The state you incorporate in is completely up to you. But if your business only does business in its home state, it might be a good idea, and it's generally the best to register in that state, but in some cases it might be worth it to register in another state, especially for online businesses or those that do businesses, in multiple states, right? Just more than one. Now, incorporating your business creates a separate business entity from you or your partners, if you have any. Even though there are costs associated with incorporating outside of your home state, if the other factors are favorable, you might make it out pretty good. Now, whether you're considering incorporating in your own state or looking at options for other states, there's a couple of factors that are going to determine whether it's a good ride or a bad ride. Now, the best state to incorporate, is determined by stuff like formation fees, your annual filing fees, taxes, legal structure, right? And we're going to go through each one of these, and we'll talk about some of the best and worst states for each category, right? So, where do you start? Well, when you first start, you got those formation fees. So let's start with the first cost associated, the formation fee. There are the one-time fees that you pay to the state when you apply to incorporate your business there. Now, filing fees vary by state, and you can find the most current requirements on each state's Secretary of State website. Keep in mind that these are in addition to any fees your lawyer or facilitator may charge to prepare and file your paperwork. Now, how much the formation fees, are going to be a factor in your decision to incorporate in a state depends on how much the startup costs matter to you. If you're counting every penny during startup, the formation fee might be a big deal. But it's also only a one-time fee, so the long-term effects on your bottom line are minimal. In most cases, formation fees are less of a factor than filing fees. And the formation fees can range from $50 to $450. Some of the states with the lowest formation fees are Arkansas, Hawaii, Colorado, Mississippi, Iowa, right? Some of the highest fees are Connecticut all the way at $450, Texas at $310, Massachusetts at $300. That's a lot. That's a lot, right? 50 or 450. Big difference. Now, the next thing that we really need to talk about is those annual filing fees every year, right? Because the formation fees are just the beginning of costs required to incorporate your business. Each year, you're also going to be required to file a one-page report with a filing fee, which will depend varying on the state. Now, some states, they actually might require it every 2 years, right? Now, this report is to keep the state informed about any changes in your business, including the principal address, authorized signatories, and the number of stocks issued by the business. Currently, the only states that don't require regular filings are Alabama and Ohio. Over the course of the life of your business, you can save a lot in terms of money and time from not having this yearly obligation. On the other end of the spectrum, Nevada has the highest annual filing fee, about $325. Now, the District of Columbia, not much better, $300. And then Maryland, same, about $300. It's a big difference. Now, everyone's favorite thing to talk about is going to be them taxes, right? Because taxes are a huge factor in determining the best state to incorporate in. The less you pay in taxes, the more your business can keep for running costs and profit. There are three types of taxes to consider: state income taxes, corporation taxes, and franchise taxes. State income taxes affect businesses in S-corp structure because the owners pay taxes based on their distributive share of ownership through their personal income taxes. Corporation taxes are levied on C-corp. LLCs might be affected by either type of taxes, and franchise taxes are for the privilege of operating and existing within a state that recognizes these types of taxes. Now, Nevada, Wyoming, and South Dakota all rank high for best tax laws because they do not have state income tax or corporate tax. However, keep in mind that this only works for businesses that operate within those states. While you might incorporate there, if you operate your business in another state, you will still be subject to that state's laws. On the other hand, the District of Columbia has some of the highest personal and corporate income taxes in the country. And New Jersey, California, Minnesota, they're not far behind. Now, the main difference between franchise tax and income tax is that franchise tax is not based on money earned by the business. Depending on the state, it might be based on a business's net worth, gross, or even margins. There are also generally minimum tax owed regardless of the factors your state uses in calculations. So, your business could possibly lose money, but you'll still owe a hefty franchise tax. Currently, there are 15 states that still have franchise tax laws on the books, including Georgia, New York, Mississippi, just to name a few. Now, the next thing that we're going to have to deal with is something that most people are going to have to deal with when they own a business, right? The legal system. The corporate laws in a state can affect the experience of owning a business there. Take Delaware, for example. It's known for having the best business laws in the country. The state has a, court of chancery, which hears corporate case laws instead of a jury of citizens. This is completely unique to Delaware. Corporate cases are handled more quickly and more efficiently there. You'll be dealing with a court that is only handling business matters instead of waiting for your case to be seen on a general docket. You'll also be in courtrooms with judges who are well versed in business law and procedures. The result is that legal costs can be much lower in Delaware than in a state with less business-friendly laws. Now, since Delaware has become known as the most corporate-friendly state in the country, it has become one of the most desirable states to incorporate in. In fact, the Delaware Division of Corporation claims to be home of about 66% of the country's Fortune 500 companies. Many serial investors will insist that a business is incorporated there before cutting you a check. The reason is that the overall risk is much less where the business laws are predictable and favorable. Delaware has some competition. Nevada, right, and Wyoming are becoming well known for the same legal benefits for corporations. On the opposite side of the fence are those states that aren't quite as business friendly in their legal structure. Some of the worst was going to be like Mississippi, New Mexico, right? These are going to rank really low on the list of business friendliness, right? So, what does this all mean? How do we put this all together? Well, these factors can all have long-term effects on the success of your business, so it's important to at least consider them when making the decision on where to incorporate. But ultimately, the best state to incorporate in depends on where your priorities are. If you are courting investors or considering your legal options, the legal structure is the most important factor. Or maybe you're forming an S-corp, and so personal income taxes will make a huge difference in your yearly expenses. Are you worried about the potential costs associated with yearly obligations of filing in a certain state? Then maybe the annual reports and filing fees is going to be your priority. No matter what your perspective might be, do your due diligence, right? Do the due diligence on the state you're considering. The first place to check is going to be, the Secretary of State website, right? Always go there first to check your rights and responsibilities under the current legislation, right? And then you're going to get a bunch of information straight from the horse's mouth, right? You'll find good answers to frequently asked questions, contact information, and it's always a good idea for you guys to get legal representation, right? Because their advice is it's going to be better than just about anything you can get, right? It's professional advice from someone who works in the legal system for businesses. It's fantastic, right? So hopefully you guys got some good information, can put you down the right path to making a better decision. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you did. But until I see you guys in the next one, y'all be safe.